To the September full board meeting of Community District 7, Manhattan. This is our first return since our June meeting. We have typically not held full board meetings in the summer. So welcome back. I'd like first to adopt our agenda with some slight amendments. The amendment would be to move the discussion of Central Park 5 to the first item on the agenda due to our speaker's very tight schedule. So we will do. Thank you. All in favor of the amended? Aye. Thank you. I am required by the open meeting law to announce those members who are attending remotely and the reason for their remote attendance. Igor Sheknovsky is traveling and will be remote tonight. Andrew Ritchie and Sarah Carrillo are remote because of illness. Thank you. I'd like to turn the meeting over right now to Doug Kleiman, our Vice Chair and Public Safety Coordinator, to introduce Captain Anthony Lavino. Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Welcome back. Hope you had a great summer and Labor Day weekend. For time purposes, I'll expedite. Obviously, some of the elevated crime in Central Park has been in the news, and it's been a concern. And we're very honored to have the commanding officer of the Central Park Precinct, Captain Anthony Lavino, who will speak a little bit about what has happened, what's happening, what's being done, and perhaps if there's a little bit of time, answer some brief questions. And I'm going to turn it over to the captain. In fact, I'll come over and bring the microphone to you, sir.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you so much for accommodating me today. I've actually been here before. It's been quite a few years, but once upon a time, I was the Special Operations Lieutenant in the 20th Precinct. Kind of started my career in and around Central Park, so I'm very grateful to be back. So yeah, Central Park has been a very hot topic so far this year. We are experiencing an uptick in crime. We play with low numbers in Central Park. So while we are up in index crimes, we're up approximately 20 for the current year to date, 82 versus 62 compared to the prior year. What's primarily driving us is robberies. In the robbery category, we're up 34 versus 15 last year. 11 of those have arrests attached to them. We also have a few more in which we're anticipating that we will be making arrests. Like I said earlier, we deal with typically lower numbers than most other precincts. So 4 robberies we attributed to one perpetrator. If you take a look at that, that's 12% of our overall robberies is committed by one person. Okay. That person was apprehended. However, we only had probable cause to make one of the arrests. So, the rest stay open, but we're confident that we have the person who was responsible. What's really been driving our robberies lately is a robbery pattern that involves Central Park, in which we have 6 incidents of a 17-hit pattern, which spans the entire city now. It started off as a local pattern with us in Central Park. Groups of young teens targeting male and female victims, sometimes in large groups, sometimes in groups as small as 2 or 3, and pretty much just taking whatever property they had. It didn't seem like there was any particular motive other than robbery, just see whatever they can get and potentially try and sell. Since our incidents began back in early June, we've seen them spread throughout the city. Midtown, 108 Precinct in Queens, as well as over in Jackson Heights in Queens. And we were able to make quite a few arrests in those cases with the help of Manhattan Central robbery. So of the 17 incidents we have, 12 of them have either a perpetrator arrested or somebody identified. So we're making good progress, but there is some commonality amongst all of these arrests in this most recent pattern All of these perpetrators are residents of temporary housing shelters, many of which are in Midtown. I can't tell you who they are, but I can tell you where they live. Royal Hotel, Roosevelt Hotel, even the Stratford Arms, which is located in the 20th precinct. So we're seeing a lot of commonality with them. A lot of our recent crimes, in fact, of the recent robberies we've taken in Central Park, and we are actually down in the current month as compared to last year, 4 versus 5. But, 3 of them were connected to this pattern. One was, was what we considered an isolated incident. So while we are up in robberies, and that's really what's driving our crime, we are down in grand larcenies currently, which was our biggest issue that we had in 2023. So we're making some progress there. And we're also up as a command and arrest 27% as compared to last year. If you look at our civil summons enforcement or old summonses, we're down by 3 summonses from last year, but we're up 450% from where we were at 2 years ago. So the officers are working very hard, sometimes working very long hours. I'm very thankful for the staff that I have, and I'm very confident that everyone in my building loves the park as much as I do. We take it very seriously. We all know what it means, not only to the city of New York residents, but also to the millions and millions of visitors that come to visit every year. And on top of that, I would just like to add that, we are being supported currently by Patrol Car Manhattan North. We've recently really started to bring some attention to the 110th Street corridor on the northern end of the park, which we've received a lot of quality of life complaints. So we're beginning to roll out a new initiative up there. You're going to see a lot of officers from both Central Park Precinct, 2-8 Precinct, 2-4 Precinct. We're going to be increasing our presence out there to stem some of the quality of life complaints we've received in that area. And that's pretty much it I have for crime for now. And if there's any questions, I can take a few questions.
Is there, if you get any, I know it's different groups, but do you get any support from the PEP's offices? I understand that there was a whole new crew hired recently for Central Park.
Yeah, so we do get supported by PEP. They are, very much undermanned, as a lot of city agencies currently are, but they do support us. They are out there. They aren't out there in the numbers I'm sure that they would like to put out there, but they do assist us whenever they can. We conduct joint operations with them to address some pedicab issues and other issues like that. They're great with us. They're targeting unlawful vendors in the park. We do work with them.
Right in here.
Is it reasonable to assume that since you've identified some of these youngsters as living in the hotel, Roosevelt and Stratford, that they are not residents of New York City? They're part of the incoming groups?
Yeah, so, these are temporary shelters, I can say that. So they are definitely not, they're relatively new to New York population.
Yeah.
So definitely that's part of it. These are all temporary residents where these youth are coming from.
And their time is limited in these temporary houses, 3 months, 6 months. So what happens with them?
I can't answer that. They're usually, there are time limits in the shelters, but as far as, that they may move on to another shelter, apply for a residence somewhere else, or possibly try and find their, that's the hope, is that, they're able to go on and find their own residence. But yeah, they are typically limited the amount of time that they can be in those residences.
Do you keep a breakdown of the victims as to the percentage of residents versus visitors?
That's a great question. That is a statistic we could probably run, but I don't have that handy. I can say though that a lot of our victims in our major crimes from this year have been New York City.
I have 2 questions. The first one has 2 parts. Of the arrests you've made, number one, to what extent have you identified the arrestees as recidivists? Second part of that question is any of them in custody as opposed to out on their own recognizance, whether or in custody with New York City or ICE, whoever it is. So that's question number one. Question number two is, totally different, what enforcement, if any, are you guys, without PEP, doing with regard to a host of possible cyclist violations?
Sure. So question number one, let me see if I remember correctly. Yeah, so in the recent robbery trends that we've seen, and pretty much throughout the year, we do maintain recidivist lists at the command. And in Central Park, we typically establish that limit with only 2 arrests in Central Park. So we now have new recidivists that are involved in this most recent pattern. However, the arrests that we've made so far this year, none have been recids from prior years. So we now have new recids that may wind up being arrested on some of these other cases once we shore them up a little bit. But to answer your question, none were recids coming into this year that have been arrested so far this year.
Or any of these guys, I guess it's all guys, maybe not, because actually in custody.
Yeah, so a lot of the arrests that we have made, particularly recently, are juveniles and are not in custody.
And then the second question was what enforcement, if any, like you would have to talk about a variety of custody, like we discussed.
Yeah, so, I've received quite a few complaints, about electric bicycles, other motorized types of vehicles. And we definitely do conduct enforcement with and without PEP in regards to those violations. We're up to about, roughly about 45 seizures of, illegal two-wheel vehicles this year. They're important for safety, but they're also responsible citywide for a lot of criminal activity as well. So we definitely, we're heavy in enforcing those. Bicycle violations, we take more of an educational approach a lot of times. We could probably step up our enforcement a little bit more in regards to those. There are some unique challenges to Central Park in regards to enforcing bicycle regulations. As you know, we mainly patrol in vehicles. It can be difficult to stop the cycling, especially at some of the peak riding periods of the park. But we are heavy on the educational front, and Conservancy is working to come up with plans to actually redesign the roadways, make it a little bit safer for everybody.
I think we have 2 last questions and we'll let you go on your way.
Hi, is this on?
Yeah.
Yes. I assume that you recall a couple of years ago, the Central Park rapist ran into the 5th Avenue and 59th Street subway station and was caught on the cameras there and arrested. So is it safe to assume that you work with the MTA on perpetrator who leave the park and run into the various stations that surround the park?
Absolutely. The transit cameras have been vital to a few of our investigations this year. Definitely, that's always, and we are seeing, especially recently, a lot of the perpetrators, when they flee, are using that transit system. So 595, Columbus Circle, it's one of the first places we check for.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you share with us the times and locations of these situations that are happening? And also, are you using drones or cameras, kind of, surveillance areas?
That's a great question. You sound like my chief asking me. So yeah, robberies this year predominantly 8 p.m. until 1 a.m. Now, the park closes at 1 a.m. It makes this very easy for that time to remove everybody from the park. What we're seeing is high volume days. We actually see less crime because there's so many people around. Even the perpetrators don't feel comfortable. What we see in problems is, days when it rains, right? The rain stops, a couple people come out, not too many. We see incidents on days like that. Dusk, when it's darker, a lot harder to see, which is why the Patrol Services Bureau has provided us with a number of light towers, which we predominantly deploy down south currently. But yeah, definitely those evening hours are what we see it. So we try and push out crime prevention materials. It's better to be with somebody, even though Central Park is extremely safe compared to pretty much everywhere else in the city. Strength in numbers. It's always better to be with somebody else if possible to help that. And as far as drones, effective this past Sunday night on midnight, we have a drone in Central Park. we are one of the pilot commands in New York City, to have our own drone assigned to our precinct. Due to FAA regulations, currently, we're only able to utilize it north of 86th Street. The department is actively working to obtain a waiver, so we'll be able to reach the whole park, because the drone that we have actually has the technical capabilities to fly the whole park.
Awesome.
Which is great, yeah. Thermal cameras on board, this is like some seriously technological advanced stuff. Our Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Commissioner Daughtry, has been instrumental in pushing this technology forward. I also am very happy to say that since we got it operational, we have not really needed to use it. I'm hoping that we continue that trend, because, you know, if we're having to use it, that means that unfortunately, 7 major crime has occurred, or a serious missing person or something along those lines. So we haven't had any success yet, but that's because we haven't needed to do that. But I think it's going to be a great tool going forward.
That's great information. Thank you. A round of conversation always continues to be a great line of communication. I want to thank Mr. Rivera, who helps us, the community ambassador of the NYPD, who helps with these meetings, and we're very honored, and we really appreciate all of your time. Thank you.
Just like you say that, so I pushed over to you, our community council meetings. So if anyone's interested in attending, that's always a great place to come out. You know, you can speak to me direct, speak to my staff, see some of the officer stations that patrol the park. We're always looking for input, ways that we can improve it. You know, thank you again for having me here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. And back to you, Beverly.
Thank you. Starting then the chair's report on the agenda. While most of our board members have had the summer off, members of the Preservation Committee, BCI, and the Transportation Committees have continued to meet to handle very time-sensitive applications, from the Landmarks Preservation Commission to liquor licenses and to dining out New York City applications. Our Budget and Strategy Committee has met to work towards our fall deadline for the board's budget requests and district needs. I want to thank all of those committee members for their time and dedication to meet when the rest of us had the summer off. We will be voting tonight on the summer landmarks and liquor license items, but not on the sidewalk and street cafes. As you know, the board voted it last spring to delegate dining out New York City applications to the joint BCI and transportation committees. We took this very unusual action because our new law does not provide adequate notice for both the committee meeting and a full board vote. For those who are interested, you can view the joint committee meeting of August 12th on YouTube. The list of applications for sidewalk and street cafes addressed at that meeting can be found attached to the YouTube video. Since you won't have a chance at full board to speak on the roughly 150 dining out New York City applications that we anticipate receiving from DOT in the next few months, I urge board members and members of the public to attend the joint committee meetings if you have input on a specific item. The next meeting is on September 11th, and the agenda for that meeting, as always, is on our website. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Max Vandervliet, our district manager, for the district manager's report. Is Max around?
Yes, thank you, Beverly. I'm right here. So first, I'd like to welcome everyone back. I hope everyone had a nice summer. Next, I'm actually addressing a lot of people that are already starting to ask online. Those of you who have signed up, we already have you. That segment is just not going to take place for maybe another 30 minutes or so potentially. And depending if it's a certain agenda item, you'll be called when we reach that agenda item. Specifically, I know a lot of you are here for the BARD session, and that's going to be the final agenda item. So that way there's plenty of time to work through it, and we will get through everyone. We may limit time, so everyone has a certain amount of time, perhaps a minute or so, but we will get through everyone, so just hang tight. Next, just wanted to make you aware of a couple changes. Upon reviewing attendance data, it seems that some of you are still forgetting to sign in. I bet some of you have right now. If you look around, there are QR codes. You should use your phones to sign in. We're toying around with the idea of sending automated text messages to all board members to remind them to sign in about 15 minutes after their respective committee meetings. But if we opt into that, that's only going to be for your September and October meetings. So we really need you to get on board. Otherwise, you might be counted absent. Next, I shared with you all last week a revised protocol for accessing full board meetings via Zoom. Many of you did that, and thank you for it. If you are requesting a waiver, you have to first reach out to Beverly, and then you will go to the CB7 website and you will log on via Zoom from there. We'll promote you at that time. Next, this is a general call for volunteers to meet with Jesse, Alex, and I to discuss a way to re-envision how CB7 might participate in tabling events at district-wide events. We've been invited to several interesting upcoming events, and I'd like to think through how to maximize our contributions at these events and maybe change it so they're more relevant, applicable, or so we can reach a wider or a different audience. So please follow up with our office sometime this week if you'd like to be in on that little working group. Not sure what we're going to call it, but we want to put our heads together so we can kind of come up with a good idea on how we're going to do tabling moving forward. And let's see. Lastly, on Tuesday, September 10th at 12, the office is going to hold one more session for co-chairs to learn how to use the tech for hybrid meetings. Many of you did take the trainings, and we thank you for that. But if you feel you need a refresher or you're someone that didn't make one of the earlier trainings, we're going to hold that here at 12 on Tuesday. Just let me know or show up. And that's it. Back to Beverly.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last two meetings. Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor, voice vote. Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you. Our bylaws outline the annual process for electing board officers. September is the month for nominations. October is when we vote, and November is when the newly elected team takes office. Natasha Kazmi, chair of our elections committee, will lead us this evening through the nomination process for the board's officers for the coming year. She will be ably assisted by Elizabeth Caputo and Flatto-Katz, the other members of her committee. So with that, Natasha, take the mic.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Beverly. I think Beverly has already given us a pretty good primer on what's going to be happening over the next few months. I want to remind everybody that the elected officers are those for a single chair of the board, one vice chair, one treasurer position, and 2 positions for co-secretaries. The election procedures that we will follow are described in section 4B of the board's bylaws. You may review them at your leisure. All candidates who are nominated and seconded tonight shall have 10 business days after tonight's meeting to submit to our district manager, Max, a written statement of their qualifications for office. Max shall then send copies of these statements with a notice of election to each member within 15 business days of tonight. Then at next month's full board meeting, as Beverly indicated, we will gather to actually vote. And before the vote, the candidates will have the opportunity to make a statement and members will have the opportunity to ask questions. Finally, as a courtesy to the public that we serve, the office will be creating a Google Doc that will invite comments and questions that the candidates will be given the opportunity to respond to at next month's meeting. The Google Doc will go live shortly and will remain active for about a week before the actual election. So with all that said, I will now go ahead and open the floor for any nominations for the office of board chair. Yeah, go ahead.
I nominate Beverly Donohue for the position of chair of Community Board 7.
Any other nominations for the chair? Okay, moving on to. Oh. Thank you. A motion made to close the nomination. Thank you. I'm now going to ask for a nomination. I'm now going to open up the floor for any nominations for the office of vice chair.
Can I nominate Alex Bell as vice chair?
And I second that.
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Doug Kleiman.
Second who?
Okay, I have Alex Bell and Doug Kleiman. Are there any other nominations? Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Will Ortiz for vice chair.
Will Ortiz.
Second.
Right. Any other nominations for vice chair? I'm now going to make a motion to close the nominations for vice chair. I'm now opening up the floor to select nominations for the position of treasurer. Yes.
I'd like to nominate Seema, baby. Second. Who? Seema.
Second. Are there any other nominations? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Kevin Reevey.
Kevin.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for the position of treasurer? All right, I'm going to make a motion to close the nomination for. I'm now going to open up the floor for the nomination for co-secretary. There are two positions. So number one, yes.
I'd like to nominate Michael Molinari.
Second.
So he's been nominated and seconded. Alex Bell.
I nominate Murat.
Murat. Okay.
Seconds. Second. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Barbara Adler.
Barbara.
Second.
Any other nominations for the position of co-secretary? I'm going.
We have to make sure everyone accepts. Oh, everyone accepts here.
All right, before I close this, Barbara Adler, do you accept?
Yes, but I would like to say that I've done it for 2 years already, and if there is somebody else who would like to, you know, put your name in the hat here, I'm very willing to step down. So.
Thank you.
Now we're joining the next month.
Murat, is Murat here? Do you accept the nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Michael Molinari? Yes. Okay, thank you. I know that I'd already closed the nomination for the position of treasurer. But I would like to open it up again and ask Seema Reddy if she's accepting. Okay. And Kevin Reevey?
Yes.
Okay. So now that motion is closed again for treasurer. For the vice chair position, Will Ortiz, are you accepting? Yeah. Thank you. Alex Bell?
Yeah.
And Doug Kleiman?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And now closing once again the nomination for vice chair. And finally, for the position of chair, Beverly Donohue, do you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm again closing the nomination for chair position. With that, I think we have a very healthy roster of nominees who are now actually candidates. And I think with that, I'm going to close this portion of tonight's meeting, the nomination portion. Thank you, everyone.
Moving right along, we, at this point in our meeting, right before we start this session, have a roll call. So this is something that we do on our phones. So, no, it's community session is after the roll call. I mean, I'm sorry, the business act. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you know.
Yeah. Hold on, hold on.
Alex, do we say yes?
Anything, yeah, no, probably not. Raise your hand. Yeah, say yeah. Yes.
They don't know you're here.
I don't believe we need to do that anymore if you use the barcode. Right? This is essentially the point at which if you're here, you're not asking.
We have 30. Oh, okay. Just put a yeah in the text.
Well, she doesn't have a phone.
She doesn't have her phone.
You go ahead and change it.
No, I'm not gonna leave it.
Yeah.
You can record it, Ellen.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I talked about, yeah, the community session, is what comes next. Right? So you available to tell us who is signed up for that? Actually, my call on Senator, Siegel.
Thank you so much for everyone taking their problem, Siegel. Happy in the summer. It's really hard to say. I'll be quick, Max. I know he's being forced to here. I'm having a town hall coming up this month. It will be at the Museum of Natural History on Sunday, September 15th. We're going to talk about three topics in particular: e-bike safety, quite a bit, I think. Good cause eviction protection, good protection for market rate tenants that we passed into the law. We'll have an explanation of that, and a discussion on anti-Semitism in Manhattan and across the country. So I hope you can make it. There's flyers out front. Speaking of e-bikes and bikes in general, in this very room where you're sitting, we hatched a bill that would require gasoline powered mopeds to be registered at the point of sale. And I'm happy to say that we passed that bill and the governor signed it. So thank you. And thank you, Councilman Lavino, for convening us all here at that meeting. You're right, Elizabeth. Thank you. And then I wanted to also let you know that the session wrapped up with the June 8th bill, including that e-bike safety bill. And outside of that, something directly related to many in our district is the property of family court judges. I'm chair of the city judiciary committee, and there's a backlog in family court of 9,400 cases. So that means families are literally getting torn apart because judges don't have to get all the cases. So we created 28 new judgeships for civil and family court cases across New York State, and that will be at that point. And then finally, not legislatively related, let's talk about sheds, we already know. And, I'm happy to say that my colleague, Louisa, did a fantastic job. And working with the residents, Steve is very good. Working with residents of under comments, at the NIT Cedar building on West 91st Street, they had a sidewalk shed, over the brought it in for 5 years. We allocated $350 million in the budget for Natasha. We'd like to think that some of that went to Sergeant Thomas and the darn shed down in August. So that was a victory that we are still celebrating. That's my report. I think I'm just under 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Right, I think, let's, allow 2 questions. I saw Jay and I saw Jamie.
I would like to.
In December of 2021, this board passed a resolution calling for the registration of e-bikes. Now that you've done it for mopeds, will you introduce a bill doing it?
Thank you, Jay. I've already introduced that bill. And getting it to require the registration of e-bikes used for commercial. Not generally, but just those that are used by the big app companies. But I'm hopeful. I'm working with the student member on getting that next step. We're working. Thank you.
Jamie?
Senator, we thank you so much for being here in person. We greatly appreciate that. And for your time. Question of the family court. Is the backlog a lag still due to COVID, or is the quantity due to the number of positions that you needed to create to handle vastly more cases, or a failure of lawyers and judges to step up to handle these kinds of cases in that dire voice? Thank you.
Yeah, Jenny, I think you identified actually all of the problems, all 4 of those. Certainly the one thing we can do is take more judges so they have more administrative responsibility. But there is, there's been an exodus of court officers in now, which is contributing to the problem. Then there's also the sense that family court, is a second class court, which isn't the case, but that's unfortunately the perception. We're trying to change that. 28. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Beverly, are we ready for the members of the public?
1 minute time, Beverly?
Yeah.
So 2 quick things on my end. One, this is a note for John, our tech consultant out there. Could you maybe turn the mic up a little bit? It worked really well beforehand, but I think with all the extra people in the room, it's absorbing some of the sound. And then secondly, actually, Alex, through a series of negotiations and to rectify a past error, we've decided, this is something we collectively decided, to give the first speaker, Sue Peters, 4 minutes for her segment tonight. Everyone else will get 1. Okay, Sue, you are now up. Sue, you're promoted, and the clock will begin momentarily.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, and you do have screen share capability.
Okay.
I know you wanted to do that too.
I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to just say my first 2 minutes is this. My name is Sue Peters. I am a resident of Manhattan Community Board 7. I would like to give information on the wireless technology in our community and its effect on our health. What is the NTP, or National Toxicology Program? In 1978, the NTP was created to investigate substances in the environment that could cause illness and disease. In 1981, it was made a permanent program, part of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. In 2006, using rats and mice, NTP began a 10-year-long study of the effects of cell phone radiation on these animals. The study cost taxpayers $30 million. The results were published in 2016. Please note that the highest category of evidence used by NTP is called clear evidence, and the second highest category, some evidence. Here are the results of the 10-year study. Clear evidence of the association with tumors in the hearts of male rats. Some evidence of the association with tumors in the brains and adrenal glands of male rats. A further NTP study and article was published October 2019. NTP found that radio frequency radiation from cell phones was linked to significant increase on DNA damage. Then in 2023, NTP declared it would perform follow-up studies. But then in January of this year, it inexplicably declared that no more research on wireless was planned. Please research this. The children in our city and our nation are growing up with increasing radiation all around them, and our government will not continue to
2 minutes.
investigate. Incredible. And then for my second 2 minutes, I'm going to give you some information from a report from the year 2000. Here it goes. T-Mobile is an international telecommunications company. In the year 2000, the owner was Deutsche Telekom. Today, it's known as T-Mobile International. The company operates the second largest wireless network in the US. In the year 2000, a report was commissioned by T-Mobile and Deutsche Telekom called the Echolog Report. I wish to read from this year 2000 report. But before I do, keep in mind the following two facts. In the year 2000, cell phones were generation 2 and 3. They emitted much less radiation than today's 5G phones. And fact 2, the FCC's limit on the amount of radiation allowed on the human body from these phones was from the year 1996 and has not been changed. Now, here are some quotes, and please research yourself. Regarding cancer, given the results of present epidemiological studies, it can be concluded that electromagnetic fields with frequencies in the mobile telecommunications range do play a role in the development of cancer. Number 2, regarding the immune system, quote, in animal experiments, damaging effects on the immune system were demonstrated well below the current FCC guidelines, thus the FCC would consider them safe. And the last quote, regarding children and adolescents, a particular problem is posed by children and adolescents, not only because their organism is still developing and therefore particularly susceptible, but also because many adolescents have come to be most regular users of mobile phones. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks. Next, we're going to go to Judith Norrell. Judith, you'll have 1 minute. Everyone else will have 1 minute. And just to clarify, Sue was given additional time because there was an error with something from a previous full board meeting, and we discussed that at executive committee.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. There is scaffolding between 103rd Street and Broadway, which wraps around to the McDonald's on 104th Street from the post office, wraps around to McDonald's on near 105th Street and Broadway on the east side. That scaffolding has been up for 12 years. I've been speaking with the Manhattan Borough President, and then I also spoke with someone contacted someone at Sean Abro's office who said that the owners are, of course, the owners are the city, and Volunteers of America rents from them for the tier 2 housing. And then he said that Sean Abro's, the representative, said that they said they would take it down.
Yeah, but she's frozen.
So she said that he said they replied that it would be taken down sometime in the autumn. but no specifics. And Sean Abreu's representative suggested that I speak to my community board. I also live in the neighborhood, and I work on 105th Street on the north side of the street. But there have been collections of garbage, rats that the Department of Sanitation comes and cleans up every time. But then there are a lot of homeless people who live there and sell stuff and just gather there and leave big messes. So perhaps Community 7 can do something about this and put a little pressure, because the city's not doing anything about it. And they're certainly not going to touch Volunteers of America. Thank you. So I hope somebody can do something about it at Community Board 7. I'm finished. But if anybody wants to comment, please do.
Ian Rabinowitz, followed by Mary Evangel. And I believe Mary could move forward. I just promoted her.
Yes, hi, good evening, Mary Evancho, president of West 73rd Block. 2 comments with questions for the board on process. First, when up for review, dining applications are listed on the agenda. The actual applications, however, are not available for the public. Does CB7 intend to post applications for public review? And second, because dining applications are often bypassing full board vote, it's important to bring to the attention of the full board what is a global issue. Namely, these applications do not address garbage, which requires a location. Will our board commit to reviewing garbage locations with each application? Thank you.
Great. Everyone already spoke for public session that signed up.
The applicants have to designate where the garbage is going to be with each application. I'm not sure what else there is to say about it. They have to designate. And in case approved by DOT, when the application is submitted or not approved.
Can't hear.
And my understanding is that the applications are now available when the agenda items are posted. Can you confirm that, Max?
Yes, just got back online. The Zoom died over here. Yes, I think I heard the back half of that question, and it's that the we've updated the website and the drive with the applications that have been coming in. We will also continue to get more applications as well. They seem to arrive every Monday.
So just so I understand, because it's not easy to hear, the public's going to be able to see the actual applications as well as the drawings? Prior to,
yeah.
And where will that be on the website?
Where I know you, Mary, and I showed it to you previously. I can dig back in that same thread and bump it up in your inbox if that's helpful.
I just saw a place for comment. I didn't see anything for where the applications are.
Well, we can talk about that.
Okay.
The link is there. The link is there for both outdoor dining as well as commenting on both transportation and BCI.
And again, I put that in the initial thread. They may not have been there then, but I was showing you where the framework was. So that way, when they were on the website, which as I understand, as Jesse just reported, they are now, you'd be able to access them then.
Okay, I didn't hear Jay. I think it was Jay that spoke about the location of the garbage and that as part of the process. Is that something that's going to be done, Jay?
That was Jonathan, and yes, those, the information on garbage, as you said, is available within the application itself and is reviewed by the committee at the time of review.
I can't, it's really hard to hear. I'm wondering if we can have microphones in the future for people to speak.
We do have microphones.
Okay. Is the answer yes or no? Is it a yes or no?
We need to move on. So, next speaker, please.
Sure. Actually, that is it from the public session. We can now move on to electeds. I think I know Councilmember Brewer walked in during one of the last speakers.
Okay. Councilmember Brewer, are you here?
Thank you very, very quick, because you have a lot of guests. A few things. One, just something fun. So a while ago, I had argued for washer dryers in school because there are a lot of young people who are in temporary housing. You go to school with clothes that are not clean and you get bullied. And many times teachers have taken the clothes home. So somebody in New Jersey who wants to be anonymous donated 14 sets of washer dryers to put them in 14 different schools in District 3. And now we have to get DOE to hook them up. And they're there. And I have to thank the schools, and we didn't tell Central DOE till afterwards, but they got along and they understand that we're going to do that. That's kind of a fun thing. A lot of issues. I know that you have people here from BARD. I just want to say the way you'll testify, you'll have discussions here tonight. What I have worked out with the folks at Landmarks Preservation Commission is they're going to hold the hearing on the 17th of September instead of the 10th of September. So we'll see how that works in terms of negotiating between now and then with the community board, me, whatever, to see if we can work out something, because it's best to work it out with neighbors as opposed to having a lot of conflict. I also want to mention that we've been working on the 96th Street issue with the bus lane. I want to thank the community board because you have such expertise. Let's see what happens with that. I also know we've been meeting with the ABC Axtell. That's a really challenging site because it's not as usable, so that's a verb, as other sites have been in the past. But thanks to the community board, to the developer, to the city planning commission, and to my office and to others, we're trying to be congenial, come up with something that has height issues that are relevant, affordable housing on site, that's not easy. And in the background, we still have the Lincoln Square Special District covering, but it has not been certified. There are actually portions of it in that application that are not complete. Very complicated project. I don't want to get into too many details now because I know time is of the essence. We are also working continually on the cannabis and the smoke shops. I have to give the sheriff credit because they have closed a lot. You'll laugh at this one. I think there's a cat in one of the closed shops. Well, how can you get a cat out? Hope it's still alive. That's all today about the friggin' cat. But we're fine. But I have to give credit to the sheriff. Looks like he's more or less winning in terms of the oath because there have been some concerns about the process. But at least at this point, the judges seem to be on the side of the sheriff. I'm just gonna say that we have newsletters in the back. We have about 15 items coming up in terms of events that are on the schedule, from working with trees, working with seniors and technology and other topics. And all the newsletter in the back. I want to hear from people who are here tonight. But just, I would really appreciate if you get the newsletter. I'm not going to ask who doesn't get it in the room. I would be very upset. You have to sign up for our newsletter. It is the best newsletter in the city of New York. I mean, it's not just me saying that. It's not about me. It's about our neighborhood and our city and issues that are relevant. So please sign up because it lists all the items that are coming up, and not just ours. If you have items that you want listed that are free to the community, we will certainly list them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I've been told Linda Rosenthal is in person and ready to go next.
Assembly member, are you here? I don't see her.
Perhaps not in the crowded room. I could have gotten the info wrong. No problem. Let's go to Emma Johnson. We can always circle back.
Hello, everybody. Happy September. I will go very quickly. We just have a couple of events coming up that I wanted to let you all know about. First one is on Monday, September 23rd. We are going to be hosting a vaccine event in our district office down on West 29th Street. I will have an RSVP sign up form ready for that in the next couple of days. So as soon as I have that, I will send it over to Max so that he can share it with everybody. That's Monday, September 23rd at 10 a.m. in our district office at 214 West 29th Street down in Midtown. And then starting October 1st, we are going to be starting a coat drive. The entire month of October, we will be collecting coats, any kind of outdoor accessories, gloves, scarves, anything like that. We will accept all of that again at our district office down on West 29th Street. So if you have anything that you want to come and drop off, you can call and ask us when we're here, or we're happy to set a time to do some drop-offs. And then everybody's favorite day is coming up. We're doing a shred truck day in October 15th. We're going to do 9 a.m. to noon, and this will be a little bit closer to you all, so hopefully close enough that everybody can come by. It's going to be at Manhattan Plaza between 9th and 10th Avenues on West 47th Street. And I have a flyer for that I'm happy to share with Max so that everybody can have it. So we'll be there the entire morning. If you have any items that you want to come and shred, please come by. And I think that is the couple of things that we have coming up for now. And I don't want to go over my time, but if anybody has any things for me, any questions for Assemblymember Simone, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks so much.
Great, thanks. Let's go next to Alyssa Ferreira from Councilmember Abreu's office.
Apologies. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Good evening. I hope everyone's doing well. Had a good Labor Day weekend. My name's Alyssa, and I work in constituent services for Councilmember Abreu. Thank you to the board for having us tonight. I'll keep my updates brief. On the legislative side of things, Councilmember Abreu is working to pass Intro 736, which would commence a pilot program for rat contraception in tandem with the pilot program for containerization. So he also plans on holding hearings in sanitation regarding the rollout of community composting, organics curbside rollout, citywide containerization efforts, and the rollout of commercial waste zones program. On the constituent services side of things, I'm excited to announce that we are also holding a shredding event that will be on Friday. So Friday, September 6th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on West 97th Street in Amsterdam near the market. So again, another shredding event, September 6th, this Friday, from 9 to 12 on West 97th Street. And as always, our office can be reached at 212-928-6814. And we are easily Googleable for that information repeated. Thank y'all and have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Alyssa. Let's change it up and go in person to Hannah Wienerman.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah Wienerman from Congressman Jerry Nadler's office. The Congress is going back into session next week, but I just wanted to flag a few things from over the summer. Hopefully we'll have some more legislative updates next month, but I just want to flag today. So earlier today, Congressman Nadler, along with the Equality Caucus, led 163 members of Congress in an advocacy brief to defend transgender Americans' right to access medically necessary healthcare in the upcoming Supreme Court case, U.S. versus Reddy. The members' brief highlights the role that animosity has played in legislation banning medically necessary care for transgender youth and urges the court to strike down Tennessee's ban. And then two infrastructure projects over the summer that are not CB7 specific, but do affect CB7, and I know you guys care. So over the summer, the House passed the Water Resources Development Act of 2024, which includes Congressman Nadler's request to authorize $60 million for the Army Corps of Engineers to work with the City of New York to upgrade Manhattan's environmental infrastructure. And Congressman Adler joined his New York and New Jersey colleagues in announcing $6.88 billion of federal DOT funding to jumpstart the construction of the Gateway Tunnel. If you know, Mr. We needed infrastructure projects in our country. If you have any federal casework that you would like our office to work on, give us a call at 212-367-7350, or you can go to our website at nadler.house.gov or come find me.
Thanks, Hannah, and thanks for coming in person. I think I saw Kyle Athade from Lincoln Center. I think he also wanted to speak. If not, I can go to the next one on the list.
Here. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Happy Community Board New Year to everybody. Welcome to the new members. For those who don't know me, my name is Kyle Athade. I lead Community Affairs at Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. I sent a detailed report to Max, so I'll spare you the details. But three big things. We culminated our third season of Summer for the City. Hundreds of thousands of people enjoyed our programs, free and choose what you pay, our outdoor space. So thank you to everybody. I saw a lot of people on the board there as well, so thank you. And then two other things. We just announced our fall season. So again, free programs, choose what you pay. It continues throughout the year. It's not just in the summer. And then the last thing is, if you haven't seen the press release, we're going to premiere a documentary on San Juan Hill, Manhattan's Lost Neighborhood, on October 9th. So I hope to see all of you there as well. It's a great movie for those who like to devote their time to community. So if you know anyone, please come out to that. And then of course, please check out lincolncenter.org/discounts for our campus-wide. There are 11 different constituent organizations. That's the one-stop shop for all of our discounts and offerings.
Thank you, Kyle. And then I believe the last on our list is Swaiba Shabazz from the Borough President's Office.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back, and I hope you had a wonderful summer. So I'll start with policy today. Just wanted to share that the Borough President recently introduced the license plate policy. As you maybe have seen, the Borough President has been highlighting the issues of ghost cars. You've probably seen them out there. They're bent or defaced license plates covered with plastic. Sometimes even paper plates are there. And there have also been devices that at a push of a button, now you can cover your license plate with. Our report notes that these ghost cars have led to hundreds of millions in unclaimed tolls and fines. Of course, we want to get on top of that. More importantly, it allows cars to continue to speed without impunity in our streets and in school zones. I definitely don't want that. So the report also outlines a number of recommendations: RFID tags on registration stickers to tie the car registration and the plate, providing NYPD traffic enforcement with training and equipment to recognize and ticket, using AI tools to identify and partial plate matches, which Mark loves, increase fines and penalties for vehicle owners, calling on vendors to stop the sale of fake plates on virtual marketplaces, such as Facebook. Lastly, our office is hosting 2 events. So first of all, we're gonna have the Manhattan Empowerment Series. It's a workshop on housing and tenants' rights sort of thing. It's happening on September 10th from 4 to 6 p.m. If you're interested, I can also share the flyer, and of course, it'll be shared with you. It's located on at Grand Street Settlement at 80 Pitt Street, New York. And then there's also the Leadership Training Series for those of you who are new to the board. These are a number of informative trainings that our office hosts on land use, budget, and many more topics. We expect to host these sessions in both the afternoon and evenings for your convenience. It's going to be on the week of October 28th and November 2nd. That's all from me. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you very much, Swaiba. I appreciate it. Last call for Linda Rosenthal. Which may be... No. Could be Erica too. No? If not, then that's the last of our list. And Beverly, we can move on when you're ready.
And here, the city controller's office is represented. Finally, come up and give us your update.
Thank you. Good evening. It's going to be very brief. We put together a newsletter. It might not be as good as but I will recommend you sign up for it. So today I'm here only for a brief update. This is a new dashboard that we unveiled today. It's the labor violations dashboard. And this is the first time that we are able to provide city level, state and federal level data from different law enforcement agencies tracking down labor violations. So you will be able to search by employer. This is all private sector, or you can download the data set, and then you can have everything in one place. So this is very new. We are also providing training to any community board that is interested, as well as training on the other boards that we have live on the website, such as the climate dashboard or the Department of Corrections one, corrections, and also city agencies levels of employment and capability. So that's all from me today, and then I'll follow up this week with our internal newsletter that I share with the community board. Yes, I'll give you a.
We have one question for you.
Yes.
Do you have any idea when Comptroller Lander's 2 lawsuits against the governor for causing congestion pricing may be heard in court?
No, absolutely no information on, actually something that is still, going on.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. I believe that is our last speaker. Is that correct, Max?
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay. We then can begin, having done the roll call, we can begin the business session, and there are several items from BCI. And Josh, I believe those are for you right now. Where's the other mic?
Thank you. My name is Josh Cohen, co-chair of BCI. First, I wanted to say
They were like ripping the sign down.
Oh, please.
Yeah, we just had.
Call the police. Call the fire department.
Hey, what did they do? Say, oh,
Traditionally, that's all the problem.
How many people are we talking about? We're quite full now, yes. I've never seen this happen, except with the garages on 108th Street. And I feel very
Yeah.
cannot have extra sidebars. If those people
How did they get found? Really, it was the net.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to quickly go through the BCI items, which are pending and approved through committee. I think we're okay, right?
Wonderful. If we were past capacity.
So with that, I turn this over to Josh to go through the items for BCI.
We'll make this quick. Again, my name is Joshua Cohen. I'm co-chair of PCI. If I could have an attention, that would be great. Everybody's gonna get a chance as soon as we're done with the SLA applications, which will take less time if everybody could quiet down so we can be done with this. I appreciate that. Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to everybody who did come to the meetings that we held over.
Even though we're not required, but we wanted to do so, and I wanted to say thank you to everybody who did attend. Please, everybody, please, can everybody just keep it down, please? Thank you. We're gonna batch this together. We have 4 new applications, West 72nd Street, 150 West 62nd Street, 35 West 64th Street, and 286 Columbus Avenue, all were voted to approve unanimously for a liquor license. And I would ask the board to do the same. Yes, motion to bundle. Great. Call the question.
Aye.
I vote on the phone, yes. This is for the first 3, 172nd, 150 West 62nd, 35 West 64th, and 286 Columbus Avenue. And Alex, let us know where. Good to go.
So we have 28 so far. This is BCI bundle 1.
Bundle 1.
That's what we're calling it. We got 34,000, 38. You guys got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, passes 39,000.
Thank you. And the remaining item.
Okay.
The remaining item is for 392 Columbus Avenue, and that's for a change in the method of operation to have a full on-premise liquor license. And also approved unanimously in committee. All those in favor?
Yes, vote yes.
Or yes, or however you like when you're. We would have to do it better. Thank you for committee.
Okay, we got 31,000, 36,000, 38. Okay, almost everyone. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, passes.
Great, thank you everybody for your cooperation, and I appreciate everybody making that a speedy process. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yes, there is some. What I'm going to suggest is we have a great many people who are not able to make it into the room. That if you are not interested in this item, could you leave so they have space? And as people who are interested in this item speak, after you speak, please leave so another person could come in the room.
And adding on top of that, that's a very good point, Beverly. Adding on top, you can log on. If you do leave the room, you can log right on from your phone and join. So that way you don't miss anything between here and home or the coffee shop or bar that you're going to go watch it from next.
Over to you, Kay.
Okay, hi. Preservation Committee has just one resolution for you. Yes. You've received it, and it concerns 8 West 86th Street, Bard Graduate Center. And I want to point out just a couple of things, and we have some pictures that Jesse can help us run through. And then we will, just so we're all on the same page. And then we want to hear from members of the community who have things to say. And there are also some folks from BARD here who might be able to answer questions. As Gail mentioned during her presentation, we're in touch with Chair Sarah Carroll at LBC, who the best they could do for us is to have a 1-week delay in the hearing for this, but that may allow some further conversation to happen between BARD and neighbors and other interested parties. Okay, so there's the easy part and the tough part. As you see from the resolution, the Preservation Committee focusing on the things that we're supposed to focus on, appropriateness to the historic district. We're in favor of this proposal. The easy part was the proposed work on the facade, the restoration work, adding a second door for egress, adding a small parapet on the top. What did we decide we were going to call that? And the balustrade or balustrade, depending on where you are. And the more challenging things, I think for all of us now, we typically see for townhouse alterations, we typically see either rooftop additions, rear yard extensions, or both. As you know, you've seen a lot of that from us. There are always active issues about these things because, you know, we're in New York City and we live close to each other. So so I think what we'll probably end up discussing at length would be the proposed rooftop addition, the proposed additions in the back. So with that in mind, Jesse, could you get some pictures up to show?
Actually, Kay, we're still actually fighting with people from the Bard Center that are being like super aggressive and now like pushing people around. So we're not able to show the slides, but perhaps we can get there at some point. We did reach out to the precinct, and the building management also is working on removing some of the people from the hall because they were getting potentially borderline violent.
They're not from ours, they're out there.
Well, I do hate to ask people from the community board to opine about this and vote on this without taking a good look at it.
Jesse?
Oh, so is that the problem, Max, that Jesse is doing crowd maintenance?
Oh, no, she just raised her.
We're getting situated.
I'm here. What do you need?
Although we're extremely unsettled.
You want me to share the screen?
I would love that, Jesse.
Okay, sure. I got it.
This is Jesse, everybody. All right, we have about 10, which is more than we usually probably live, but I'll show that. Okay, if you've been around, you know the building. That's townhouse, roughly 100 years old or so. It is sandwiched in between these two buildings, and which range in height between 12 and 15 stories. It's a 4-story townhouse that they would like to add a partial top floor, and then the rear yard. So let's take a look, Jesse, please. Oh, well, here on the right, there's the existing, what it looks like now. Which you saw. Okay, so then as I said, I think our interest will be in what the changes will be in the building of this building. We can talk a little bit about the use. We don't consider use this, but just so you know, this will be a place for grad students to interact with the extensive collection of material that BARD has in its possession. look at it, feel it. No, close on personal. Okay, here is a historic, the designation photo on the left from 1990. See the condition at the time it was designated. And then there are some prior approved alterations by LPC, including one that wasn't done on the front door. There, see. So, okay, let's see the next. As I said, I think we're all in agreement that the proposed front facade changes are all bit better. There's a lot of restoration work. Here you can see it in context in relation to the rest of the block there. As you know, Bard has two other buildings that are not connected, but are on the same side of 86th Street. Being a student-oriented facility and an exhibit space. There's at the top a historic look at this block and a more contemporary aerial view. So that's everybody's clear about the building that we're talking about by now, right? Okay, great. Got just a couple more to show you. This gives you a sense of some other educational facilities that have needed to expand over the years and what those expansions have looked like. On the left, we have Spence School on the east side. From downtown, Penn Seminary. And then St. David's School. We all know about this collegiate school we put up there so much. In historic districts that have to expand to meet their mission. Okay, next. Here are some proposed changes for the front of the building. As you can see, there's a desire to drop the front entrance to street level for easier access and accessibility. There will be an additional egress on the right-hand side of the front of the building. That has been a window, it'll be a door. And then the ironwork will be refurbished, and I don't know if there's a final decision about whether it's going to be white or black, but that we would find our committee was fine. Okay, and all right, as I said, there are concerns about the mounting of the building, the changes that involve a couple of things, putting a full rear yard extension, 23-foot extension to the lot line, which is allowed by zoning, and then some further extension in the back, which can only go to 30 feet from the lot line, and then some addition on the top. So maybe go to the next. You got another one, Jeff? There we go. This will give you a good idea of what we're talking about as far as the changes, the expansion part of this. So you'll see a floor on the top, and then on top of that, some rooftop mechanical work that is typical in projects like this. Each is stepped back to prevent visibility from an areaway, which in this case is across 86th Street, because there is the driveway next to the building. There'll be some visibility even so from 86th Street. And so, okay, so you see the floor on the top, the mechanical work on the top, and then the expansion in the back. So where it says rear yard expansion, that first, I guess it's 19 feet, you can go up to 23, will be covered by a green roof. There'll be no, my understanding is there'll be no access from the building to that. It'll be purely something to look at. And
then there's a smaller rear yard extension, full height above that. Everybody clear about what we're talking about? Some people are better at seeing things spatially than others. Okay, great. And here we have some sense of what these spaces are going to be used for, including in the back, the need for some very large pieces that are in the collection, viewable and significant room. Okay, as I said, that the use of the building is not always necessarily our business's preservation committee. Is that the last one, or do we have one or two more? Oh, there's the existing rear yard, which you can see. Where else there's some concern also about a tree that is not on this property, but a neighboring property that might be impacted. Talk about that. Here also you can see the for Central Park West building there, a driveway on each side and some rear area there. That's not part of this, obviously, project. Just so you can see how it fits. Anything else? More context, and also the proposed green roof. Yeah.
Can you get a mic on?
Okay. Andrew, I think it would be helpful before we exit these to see the front of the building again and what happens to the mansard roof that's currently on the building. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just calling this up a little. All right, so okay, so there's the mansard roof that will be restored. On top of that will be the balustrade. That's the main change up there. Is that what you were asking about? Yes. Thanks. The step back in terms of feet.
That's in 5.
I don't know. Somebody from Bard have that off the top of your head. It was on the slide before we go back up. How far is that back? If we go also, go one more, Jesse, as you can see.
What number?
The last one. I just wanted to quickly, this shows you a little bit of setback on the top, the proposed setback.
It's the orange.
The orange. Yeah.
Okay, if there's somebody from Bard here who could give the exact footage, that would be helpful.
Great.
Can we get the person on mic?
18 feet 3 inches.
18 feet 3 inches is the setback from the front, from the balustrade to. Yeah. Right. We saw that in the old photos. Okay, so yeah, 18 feet.
What is 18
setback.
feet?
The setback from the front of the building to when they start going up with the additional floor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, any further questions from members of the committee first, and then we want to hear from you.
This slide actually the illustration. I think people would be interested, or at least what the facing material would be behind the original building on the addition, and what you start to see there a little bit on the right hand side is our people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a kind of a terracotta tile in a reddish color that would be the face of the rear yard addition, the 23-foot high 1-story thingy, and then the full height 4-story that thing is set out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the tree next door, that's not the tree in question. And the other tree. And it's in the back, not. Yeah. Very good.
My understanding is that this is all allowed code, correct?
Oh, yeah, it's well within code. The zoning here is R10. So they could build 20 stories up. I'm not suggesting. But yeah, it's, yeah.
Oh, just, I've always wondered, it's totally, you cannot see it at all from the street. We have is that within our purview? Is we supposed to be weighing in on the appropriateness, something that you really cannot at all see from the street?
There is some visibility. That's what we saw in the orange. And so.
But in terms of the material use on the back.
I think we typically would look at that as well, because we're concerned about the donut. Like there are neighbors. Our primary concern is the air, anything that's from a public byway. So, but you're correct about. But we also do care about.
If it's not visible from the street.
No.
Under the LPC rules, any application for both a rooftop addition and a rear yard extension are reviewable, notwithstanding the question of visibility. It's just something to be considered, but whether or not it's visible doesn't predetermine whether or not it's subject to community board review. So even if this was not visible from any public way, any part of it, we would still review it.
Thank you. Yeah, so the quick question to the zoning issue is that, yes, it's well within. Wow. Mark, Mark and Paige wanna. Yeah.
That concluded.
So we're just hearing from a couple of committee folks.
Thank you.
Over.
I didn't see a slide that showed the impact on the rear facade. Is it going to be essentially the same, but just pulled out more, or is it a change in character of the rear facade?
A little bit of both, yeah.
I saw this about 2 weeks ago, I think, and it's been improved enormously. Wishes to the designers. The only troubling thing that is quite different is that how it backs up against the landlocked pieces of real estate going down Central Park. And again, it's cleaned up much to my surprise, but the issue is the donut that you normally would expect. I never heard any comment about closing off that component part, and that would be the only area that would be squeamish, because this would be used for, if I recall, long-term storage for their artwork and sculptures. So it's a very interesting project, and one that I think would be great for the Upper West Side to have pieces joined together. But I'm just not quite convinced how the two pieces would work.
Thank you, Paige. Okay, Richard and.
I assume that one of the things that is, and I was struck by the fact that there are no stringent photographs of the back of the donut. So we're really blind. We don't know how many other buildings on that donut have extensions or anything else about it. We don't know what the next door buildings look like, how far out beyond any extensions this would be. is there any way of getting a picture? Does anyone from the park have a picture of the donut?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, the donut is the middle of the block, yes, that's right, those of you who are starting to get hungry. So, I don't know, we have, yeah, there are a lot of big, because 86th Street is a different kind of building, a kind of street than, say, 84th, which also has some big buildings on it, but, so you have a lot of infiltration into the donut already on this block for dinner.
We should.
Okay, I have Louisa, then can we then take some public?
I think if everybody on from the board has spoken at least once, Louisa is, and that's it. Everybody else has spoken at least once. Okay, Louisa, and then we'll go to the public.
Sorry, I'm the only one.
There we go.
Okay, I agree with Richard that we really would like, we would like to see what the donut looks like, but unfortunately, it's a community facility and it is allowed to extend the height of 23 feet all the way back through the entire lot. And that's the zoning on it.
Thank you for that, Clara. Okay, I think we should hear from.
Okay, is there, I believe there is a sign up sheet of folks.
Max, do you have that?
Yes, there is.
Okay, you wanna call them out?
If you could go with someone in the room first, so I could start promoting people.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Timing? Yes, I got a timer.
We got the timer.
1 minute timer.
They told us to.
No, not unfortunately, we've got to make it one.
Okay. I'm sure we all appreciate, appreciate leading the community for over 35 years as president to the Central Northwest. Excuse the rapidity. This is a very fine board, done some research as to what boards do, they're advocates for the community. I've seen boards to live with. It's a fine board, very grateful to board. It's my community. It's an astounding institution. But we think the board should apply all its mandates here and to look carefully at this, give us an opportunity for equal and fair hearing. There could be significant impacts of disturbances from the construction itself, pedestrian traffic, car traffic, major cross streets, noise, vibration, and nuisance from major excavations that hasn't been looked to at all. Serious access issues during construction. They'll be chopped down a beautiful tree that's been made right up, but that's a beautification for the neighborhood.
That's 1 minute.
Honestly, we feel somewhat disenfranchised. All we're asking for is a fair hearing, to say this nicely, not to be railroaded through. We've seen multiple meetings of projects much less significance. When we at 257 went for landmarks approval on merely raising a balustrade on the roof. We were there for eons of time. I'd like you to invite in.
All right, we got 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, Jason, I have Jason Mahmoud, followed by Angela Crenshaw.
Thank you. You believe we can invite in another one of your colleagues?
We're doing someone remote next. The remote person is being promoted.
We have Angela Crenshaw. Okay, perfect.
Hello, my name is Angela Crenshaw. I graduated from the Bard Graduate Center's master's program this past May, and I'm remaining at the institution to pursue my PhD studying the history of textiles. For students, the BGC study collection, which will be housed in this new building, is a significant asset to the program, allowing us to get really hands-on experience with the objects, which we can get up to close to and touch them, which we can't do in most museum collections. The new building additionally will provide space for exhibitions curated by students, and curating exhibitions is something that we learn about in our classes and practice in theory, but we rarely get the opportunity to bring these exhibitions to life in a physical space as students. And I know this is something that many students are really eager to gain experience with. So this new aspect of the institution will be an amazing opportunity for the students and bring even greater prestige to the program. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Jason in the room? Jason Malamed? If he's not, then we could proceed with Claude.
Yeah, he's here. He's here. Thank you. First, thank you all for your service to the community. Really appreciate it. BARD is proposing the third industrial HVAC system on this block, in part to protect the art collection they'll move to this building on a block where BARD's projects homes, on a block where before BARD's project homes facing the interior courtyard enjoyed a surprisingly quiet environment. They propose what's essentially a two-story wall blocking sightlines for about a dozen apartments, a rear extension that will seal the interior courtyard at 10 West 86, together blocking reflected light and airflow to the lower apartments. And their agent has been pressuring their rear neighbor to remove that 8-story tree before these hearings, because presumably it interferes with their art storage. Please reject this to give us time to work with BARD to scale this project back, their third project, and after they use their extensive resources to protect that tree, not to destroy it. Thank you. Thank you.
Claude Saucier, followed by Janet Ozerchuk.
Is Claude remote?
Oh, he's
Okay.
In person.
Here we go. Hello.
Yes, 1 minute. I find these people superb. Faculty, administration, they rarely put a foot wrong. This will be the third in a tiara of 3 jewels if it goes through, and I think they will only make 86th Street and the community better and richer for it. Next.
Who's next, Sophie?
Aaron Glass.
Hi, good evening. I'm a professor of cultural anthropology and the chair of research programs at Bard Graduate Center, where I've taught for 15 years. The core of our approach, as you heard from Angela, is a close object study, and we benefit from having a globally diverse study collection that both faculty and students can handle and to understand the material and cultural qualities of objects. We're very unique in that regard. This proposed study center will significantly expand our capacity to integrate such object study, research, and curation into our curriculum and to train our students for careers in collection management and research. As a chair of research programs, I also coordinate 3 departments: public humanities, digital humanities, and publications, which directly face the public and which ensure that our cutting edge research is made widely accessible to both local and international communities within and beyond academia. And finally, I just say, as a nearby resident where I live in faculty housing, I've enjoyed our public programs, which really take our commitment to learning beyond academia and out into the neighborhood, expanding our educational mandate in wonderful ways. And I look forward to ways in which this study center will contribute to the community. Thanks very much.
Susan Weber.
Has got a person in the room there?
Jesse, the person that you called a little while ago is here. Sorry, your name? Janet Ozark?
Correct.
Okay, we'll do her next then.
Okay.
Hi, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Bard Graduate Center. At the July 11th MCB7 Preservation Committee meeting, some neighbors raised the issue of lack of notice, and we've been asked to clarify our community outreach efforts. BGC hosted an informational meeting on June 26th, 2 weeks prior to the CB7 meeting, to share the proposed design and engage the community beyond the city's notification and meeting requirements. Notice of the June 26th meeting was given on June 7 and June 10, 2 to 3 weeks prior to the meeting. Emails were sent to managing agents. Physical copies of the invitations were left with the superintendents or the front desk of door-person buildings, and invitations were mailed to buildings without. We were dismayed to hear that people did not know of our efforts, but to our understanding, all buildings have now confirmed that we did contact them on the dates and in the manner described. And Susan and I continue to meet with neighbors, architects, and board members.
Thank you.
Okay, Susan Weber.
Susan Weber?
All supported 10.
Yeah, if we can try to alternate it possibly.
All right, thank you, Susan, sir.
Is she there?
Yep, she's speaking, thank you.
In our original building at 18 West 86th Street. Over the past 32 years, we have sensitively restored 2 other townhouses on the street for the site of our graduate program, both our MA and PhD in history of decorative arts, design and material culture. We also offer award-winning exhibitions, community programs, including adult education, children's workshops, and tours and symposia for public and private school students of all ages. We have purchased, yes, the 4th building on the street for the enhancement of our program to house our growing collection. This new building will enable more hands-on training for our graduate students. It is not just for storage. So I'd like to address that. This new building, so we will be renovating the building according to the highest standards of restoration arts. We will be developing the site as of right, and we are seeking approval from our local preservation committee with our plans. Thank you.
Next person's Anupam Ladha.
Just mark the list for a second. You can take one of these gentlemen here, Barbara. Pass it to the gentleman to the right. We're making an effort to have an influx, different positions. Go for it. 1 minute. Please announce your name.
Seth Haberman, 251. By the way, Chief Operating Officer, 251 was not included in your list. I have the email explaining that you guys apologized for not including us, so we were not given notice. Really what I want, it is true.
Okay, we got 45 seconds left.
And really what I want to say is that the same attention that you're focusing inward on the decorative arts and the materials and things like that, focus outward on the neighborhood. Because that's what we don't hear. We don't hear the same sensitivity that your professors are talking about, what you're trying to do in the diversity of collection with the diversity of neighbors and buildings and concerns. Just slow the process down. Nobody's against it. Just slow it down so that people's voices can be heard.
Thank you. What's the next one, Jesse? Jesse, next one's on the list.
Anupam Ladha.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Okay, so I'm Anupam. I'm on the board of 257 CPW. We sent a letter to the community board on August 27th from 257, that's building 251 at 10 West 86, indicating very clearly that we're not against the project, that we merely want some time to discuss a bunch of neighborhood and resident issues, which were exhaustively covered in the project. I just want to say that as a resident for the last decade in this neighborhood, this project is one of the latest big ones that I've seen in the neighborhood, and it's moving at a blinding pace. On our roof deck, we went through CB7 and landmarks for a minor addition to our elevator bulkhead, and that process took a lot longer than this process is taking. If you guys can refer to that letter and the dozen or so issues from excavation to building up to loss of light and air for people to sound to that tree, there's more than enough fodder here for slowing down the process just a little bit. We're not against it. We just seek some reasonable consultation.
Thank you. Next one, Jesse.
Seth Haberman.
That was me.
Okay, next.
Followed by Darrell Prescott.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Thanks very much. Darrell Prescott, the board of 10 West 86. I greatly appreciate Bard's mission. I've gone to your exhibits. They get you thinking, and some of them are spectacular. So thank you. Our concerns focus on the equipment that will be on the rooftop. We've had a problem in the past with the HVAC that was on the top of 18 West 86. It made a screeching noise. It was repaired, but given the changes that will be, the equipment that will be just 8 to 10 feet outside the windows of many of our apartments, we'd like to work this out and get assurances in advance before it's approved. Second, our building abuts brick to brick. We are flushed against 8 West 86, so vibration and sound will be amplified. It's in a canyon that's between the Orwell and 10 west, and we find we get back. And hope we can make it now, but it needs to be worked.
Thank you. Any other one, Jesse?
Patricia Ting, followed by Garth Simmons and Esther Simmons.
Thank you.
257 Central Park West. I'm kind of curious, and I know that our board and 251 and 10 West sent a very lengthy letter detailing our concerns. So I would like to know how the landmark committee and this committee and Bob would respond to that letter before it's approved, because it's raised a lot of legitimate concern that is by the community. So, and also I'm kind of curious, because when we were building the rooftop at 257, we were told it cannot be visible on the street. So does that mean, and I'm surprised that with this extension, you can very clearly see the extension on 86th Street, and it changes the landscape a lot. So I'm curious how Landmark will be able to approve something like that. Oh, is it just a different standard because it's commercial and not residential?
Thank you. 1 minute. What was the next one, Jesse? Garth
Simmons and Esther Simmons.
Okay.
Just begun.
Okay.
So I've been a resident of 257 CPW for about 24 years. I'm concerned about the change proposed. It will be a change from a residential to a more non-residential building. It's going to be major noise, fumes, vibrations from the construction excavations, and the quality of life will be very affected by the nuisance and noise from the commercial sized HVAC on the rooftop, which will be very close to us. It's significantly going to reduce the light and air, particularly for our E&F apartments. And so there's going to be a serious disruption to life on 86th Street. The 86th Street I've come to love. And I feel there should be more study of the details, and that the community is entitled to know that this has been reviewed fairly. I'm very upset by the adverse impact on the quality of life for many residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Jesse, on the list?
Claude Saucier, Bob Buller, and Christine.
Any of those people here? Okay, Claude spoken, thank you.
Heidi Cohen and Joseph Drayton. Joseph Drayton's online, I promoted him.
Okay. Joseph, do you want to go? Otherwise, we go with Heidi.
Let's
go with Heidi.
Are any of the names that you've just skipped over out waiting in the hall? Do we know?
Okay.
I have no idea who's in the hallway.
Oh, it's Max now. Sorry, I've been kind of all over. Those that are left in the hall are on Zoom, so they would hear us call for them.
Okay. So let's go. Okay. Let's go Heidi first. 1 minute.
Hi, Heidi Cohen, 257. Really appreciate all your time. I know this is a labor of love for everyone in the but it is something that is really affecting me and affecting the building. My window doesn't face the back, other people's do, but I do walk on 86 constantly. And to say that it's just slightly changes of view is not true. They have a very minor, it's not a 3D thing up there. It's like a minor fence showing what it's going to look like. And I don't think you can get an accurate view of it. And I think everybody needs to take a breath and see what it's actually going to do to the community, because it's affecting our neighbors. And I appreciate the mission of BARD, but you have to appreciate the residents living there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go with Bob next.
Good evening, thank you. 257, been a resident of Central Park West, which I love, right next to Central Park, for over 20 years. I'm not going to reiterate my fellow shareholders have already said about quality of life, but that is definitely impactful in terms of noise, even lighting. I am on that side of the building. I'm very concerned with it. Just my day in and day out life now, working at home remotely, which I used to work 99% in the office. It's going to impact my work and also my quality of life. I really think it's going to be extra noise, as well as sun treatment in terms of our apartment as well, which will also impact our values of our co-op, which is very important, as we know. Thank you for your time.
You. We had someone we promoted online. I think John, if you're available.
I think is it Joe Drayton, Jesse? Is it my turn?
Go for
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so I'm a resident at 257 Central Park West. I apologize for my camera malfunction, but I purchased my co-op recently, and I knew that my apartment on the F line at 257 Central Park West had minimal light. This extension, will take away the vast majority of light that we get into our apartment. And it obviously will impact the family investment into the co-op, and it will affect our ability to sell the co-op. But we plan to be long-term residents, and most importantly, it's going to impact mental health because we won't have the amount of sunlight that we need, in addition to the renovations, which will impact our airflow, et cetera. So this is a real issue, and it's something that hasn't been addressed with the renovations as they stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Done.
I'm Barry. I lived in 257 Central Park West for 40 years. The logistics, which they have not talked about, they're saying the construction is going to be 2 to 3 to 4 years. But for us to have that disruption for all that time, to have the excavation, because they say they have to dig through the building, it impacts our lives. We've been there. I happen to be on the E line, so I'm also overlooking it. I admire what they're doing. I admire the bar, but I don't think you're taking into account the impact it's going to have on the people who live there. We've been there for 40 years. I mean, one of the things earlier, at an earlier meeting, they said, well, we'll have access to your driveway. That's our garage. But there's literally, oh no, we'll work it out. We'll be able to use the alley, because that's the only access that they will have to get into the building. Also, on 86th Street, you're eliminating 15 cars that park there. They can no longer, because if
That's the 1 minute.
if there's construction, that construction is going to last forever.
Thank you. Okay, Jesse, anyone else on the numbers?
I already went through the list. We're good.
Okay, anyone standing behind Barbara who hasn't spoken yet and would like to speak? We'll come back to you. We'll just make sure to reach the people in the public. 1 minute.
Clayton Emmer, 10 West 86, I'm on board. I agree with you. Thanks to everyone. First of all, thanks to all you folks for your service, and to everyone here who's voiced their concerns about this project, as I have concerns as well. Bard has been a very good neighbor. However, the difference of this project is the amount of buildings in the immediate vicinity that are affected versus their previous projects. It's a multiple. So the amount of impact, and as the gentleman just stated, the amount of people working from home now, life situations have changed. Laws have not, zoning. So I just ask you to take our lives into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it? Yeah. To go done with the public? Yeah, Kelly.
I'd like to make a motion to refer this item back to the committee, given the serious concerns and positive feelings, but yet but serious concern to the community.
The issue is that the LPC, the longest extension we could get from landmarks was 1 week. We had asked to go into October. That would have permitted another meeting. So, I'm just.
Hang on, this is. Hang on.
Okay, Ethel.
Very quickly. Everyone appreciates Bard and its presence on 86th Street and in the city. What has been expressed tonight are the concerns of varying degree, but all of which are serious, of the impact of the construction, the time frame, and the final impact on surrounding residents. I believe that the residents and Bard may not completely give in or be satisfied. But what is needed is a delay. And if it is one of 1 week, although there are ways, I'm sure, tomorrow to be talking to the staff and explaining what has happened and the responsibility of Community Board 7, at least to say that there is important reasons to continue this discussion with an agenda that is clear and that may last for, let's say, 2 weeks or something like that. If the people who have spoken, there are many things they've said that may be upsetting, but they have a right to it. Bard, it's a great institution. We need to foster, is it 2 weeks? Or even if it isn't adequate, we should be doing that tonight so that the maximum amount of effort on both sides can occur.
I just want to say one thing. I see the lawyers here for Bard. My feeling is that they really were serious about wanting to revisit this, postpone it, that they could probably get it done. Am I
Withdraw,
wrong
they can
about
withdraw.
that? Is that correct or incorrect?
Wait, till we get to the mic. There are other things that have been postponed. Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second, Valerie.
Good evening. Valerie now. So, sorry. So the issue of the landmark already in for the 10th. They can read us into the record. They can hear us on 17th. The next meeting is 24th. Their agenda is too full. And then looking at play for a month.
All right, that clarifies things. Okay, we can, all right, so 2 things, and then I'd like Adam to.
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. All right, so I have I've been handed a friendly, books friendly amendment to go at the end of this resolution, which would say CB7 urges Bard and residents of surrounding buildings to meet between now and the September 17th LDC meeting to discuss and try to resolve concerns and try to reach compromises. So think about that. Wait a minute, let's have Adam spin.
Thank you all. I really appreciate folks who came to the meeting, I guess, in July or last month, the Preservation Committee hearing, as well as tonight. And I thank you for the letters that you've sent. The role that the Preservation Committee plays is about historic preservation. And the vast majority of concerns that have been outlined in public comment and in the letter that was referred to from the 3 buildings are not things that fall under the purview of historic preservation. So while I understand that there are tremendous amounts of concerns about the removal of parking spots during construction, about concerns about the noise of HVAC equipment, trees on neighboring properties, these are not things that fall under the Landmarks Preservation Commission and do not fall under our purview as the Preservation Committee. And we had a long discussion about this, and this is why the resolution that you see today passed out of committee unanimously. So excuse me, sir.
You're out of order. Out of order.
Sir, I understand that this is the opportunity that people have to speak on this issue, but I just speaking as a member of the Preservation Committee, as a member of the board, that our purview is what our purview is, and things outside our purview are unfortunately not things that we can discuss when we send something to LPC from a, this is what the law is perspective.
Okay, thank you. We haven't heard, we haven't heard from Jamie.
Adam, I respect tremendously what you've said, and I also agree with my friend Josh, who always says, please come to the meetings, and if you don't, please respect the vote of the committee. But I must say that I find distasteful the joke I heard moments ago by a member of the Bard group told to the lawyer for the Bard group, why don't they just turn it into a homeless shelter? I found that distasteful and disgusting. And that may well affect my vote, and I hope others would think about that as well.
I mean,
Member of the public?
Yeah, I chaired the Preservation Committee for 7 years. And I appeared before the Landmarks Commission on many occasions, testified on many projects. Adam, who I don't really know very well, is absolutely correct. The committee and the board have a statutory obligation in the way that they review these projects. Every single project that we've ever considered in this neighborhood and in most of the city, in fact, where properties abut each other, they back up against each other, they front against each other. The questions of noise, the length of construction, the traffic, etc., exist with every project. And they're not within the purview of our obligation. Our obligation, as Adam eloquently stated, is appropriateness in terms of historical preservation, in terms of the character of both the individual buildings and of the historic district. Now, procedurally, the issue was raised by one of the members of the public, whether or not visibility, that if something is visible from a public way, disqualifies it from approval. The answer is no. Visibility is an issue to be considered, but it does not preclude a project from going forward. Many projects, particularly rooftop additions, are visible from various places in the public way. Secondly, the Landmarks Commission does not consider construction noise and light and air. Those are Department of Buildings issues, and the nature of the construction are approved by the Department of Buildings. There are structural safety plans that are required to be filed. All of those issues are taken up independently of what the Landmarks Commission does. Secondly, if there are issues, the Landmarks Commission doesn't always make a decision. In fact, they rarely make a decision at the hearing. Landmarks Commission has a public hearing, they discuss it. If there are issues that they feel need to be resolved more often than not, they will take a no action position at the hearing, refer it back to staff, deal with the applicants, deal with any concerns, and wait often a month or 2 months or 3 months till they schedule it at a public hearing, at a public meeting, and that's when they will vote. So there is a decent amount of time for the public, the concerned members within that community, and the developers of the project, Bard College, to try and resolve these differences. It's not going to be decided in 2 weeks.
all right, thank you, Jay. And I do want to point out that, of course, the meeting on the 17th, the hearing on the 17th, if that's what happens, is a public hearing. Anyone can sign up to testify there as well as here. You want to speak to the motion? Okay.
I think it's impractical to defer a decision on this from tonight until a time when the board will not. There may be a ruling by landmarks before the board reconvenes. I agree with Adam that our statutory duty is to consider only the landmark aspects of this project. But we are a community board. And we have a right to opine on anything we want of interest to the community. My suggestion is that we vote on the resolution that's on the floor, turn down the amendment, and then have a second motion which encourages the parties to this dispute to meet and confer and resolve the issue. BARD is a community institution. They may hopefully be somewhat persuaded by our interest in this to reach an accommodation. So I suggest we have two motions, one on the floor, and the second one to urge resolution of the issue.
Wait. Are we voting on Shelley's motion to defer a vote? Refer the vote to the committee. For the
understanding that may prevent us from having a voice at the planning.
You can render us mute.
The 17th of September.
What he said is not true.
Oh, you're not. Okay, so.
But this is Sheldon's motion.
Yeah, this is Shelley's motion. If you want to table this to the committee, you vote yes. If you want to I'm sorry. If you want to defer to the committee, vote yes. You do not want to vote on tonight. No, if you think we should vote on it tonight. Is that clear for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, the voting is open, you can vote, but let's hear it.
I mean, we'll do whatever you tell us to do. I think we had a lengthy discussion on, as I've said before, and so I think we're ready. We would like to vote.
I just want to say.
He asked for a vote. Okay. I want to make sure that we have three voters. Right. So
many things that we can figure out. I've been here, I've had the exact same objections. So why is this different from there? It seems to bring the vote. Let's finish the vote. And
Wonderful. Thank you, Jay. But I'm asking for rulings from the following as to whether or not the full board actually has the power to vote to return something to committee once the committee has voted on.
Yeah,
I was going to move because you already voted on the amendment and turned it down, so it's not.
Okay, so
we're standing the voting in 5, 4, 3, 2. We had one last one from Kay. He just typed no. Okay, so it's failed. It's failed. 29. I got Jay. 29. 9, 29, 20.
okay, I would like to suggest that the board do what was mentioned a moment ago, that we take a vote on this resolution. And then I think our chair would be open to a further resolution that would urge further discussion between BARD and its neighbors.
Can we combine? Why can't we just combine that? It's an amended resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Read what I.
Okay, all right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Get Mike
Microphone for you. Let me read this, then we'll discuss this proposed amendment. Community Board 7 urges Bard and residents of surrounding buildings to meet between now and the September 17th Landmarks Preservation Commission hearing, discuss and attempt to resolve concerns. That is the, hold on a second, that is the, that is a proposed amendment.
We should hear from Richard because it's likely a parliamentarian issue.
It's not a parliamentarian. It's a language issue. I think the second, the amendment needs to be strengthened. To say that members of the surrounding buildings have serious concerns concerning the construction and to me, the most important one was the AC unit. And it is incumbent on the parties to meet and resolve those issues.
Excellent, excellent.
Good.
I'm concerned about bundling these two. There's a scenario in which absolutely, I have so much admiration for Bard's mission, what they were trying to do here. I would not like the project to proceed without some serious consultation with the neighbors. And if we combine them, we are both voting for the project and for consultation.
Fine, then let's perhaps go back to separation. I was just trying to avoid a second vote. Avi has had his hand up.
I'm wondering if we could add to this that the LBC hearing should be pushed until both parties have met to try to resolve the problem. If that's possible, but to add something on to it.
I have a question.
I agree with that. And then Seema, I think if it's separated, then Landmarks doesn't know that we have the resolution.
We can forward it.
So I would suggest keeping it as bundled together.
For a while. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask maybe rhetorical, maybe an obvious question. But is it possible that the applicant, or with respect, would voluntarily withdraw their application until such time you have a meeting? Now, I have a feeling the answer is no, but I think that would be the neighborly thing to do. And if you would be on record tonight and say yes, and I know time is money, but we're talking about making permanent changes to your building that will be there for many, 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 many years. And if we're talking about months of a delay, maybe it's something you'd like to do. It's voluntary, but it's a question because that might solve everything if you'd be willing to do it.
Do we have any response from Bard? Can we get a microphone?
Hold on.
The issue with withdrawing the application is that it would start everything entirely over. We have to come back to the community. I think Bard has shown over the last 2 months that it's willing to meet with the community, continues to be willing. But we need to get to hear what the commission say.
They're different. Okay, is there a difference between withdrawing and delaying?
Right, I think that's a no. So let's I think Beverly decide about you made a friendly amendment. Do you want to unbundle or?
I would like my friendly amendment to be amended to reflect the language that that Richard put forward, but if that's the case, I think bundling may in fact be best.
Call the question.
Mark, you have a point that applies?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. I'm not sure where we are procedurally, so thank you for hearing me. I agree with our colleagues Adam and Jay about what it is that we are and are not voting on in conjunction with an LPC application.
I accept their approach to it, and I am not going to be voting based on, with respect, not with respect to light and air, with respect to construction noise, with respect to traffic. Nor am I going to be voting based on Bard's mission. As far as I'm concerned, the First Amendment lets them do anything that is appropriate to their educational mission without input from the likes of me. But what I do think is appropriate is that I think that we have a difference of opinion about what is appropriate. This board has on many occasions seen the cumulative effect of additions to townhouses, overwhelming those townhouses and eliminating their historic character. And while I've only seen the slides here, and I apologize that I wasn't at the committee meeting, it appears that the volume that's being added and the materials with which it's being constructed are inconsistent with a townhouse of its type and its pedigree from its era. So I can't give my vote to that. I do agree with the concerns with respect to the amendment relating to consultation and thanks for hearing.
All right, thank you, Mark. Do we have language for the amended amendment? Shelley, hold on.
I think that people may want the constitutional consultation and input, but not want the resolution right now, or the other, some reason the other way around. And so if it's together, you have no opportunity to apply. So I think separating it makes more sense.
I'll go with that. That's fine. Question on the original.
Okay, yes.
On the original motion, we will take a vote now. Then we will take a vote on.
Wait, no, but he's voting.
Assuming if it passes.
Yeah.
Correct.
We're voting, yes, we're voting on the resolution that came out of committee. I remind you that received unanimous support from the committee members. The vote was 5-0-0-0. And we recommend and urge you to vote in favor of that.
It's up on the screen.
It's on the screen.
It's up on the screen.
Oh,
Therefore, the vote is open. You can vote now.
It's the original.
Yeah, that's what you had per week.
Original, that one.
What is the second one going to be? The second resolution?
Hold on. First things first.
That affects how one votes for this.
Therefore, be it resolved, the community board 7 Manhattan approves the application as presented regarding the facade work as, although appropriate to the building and the historic district, and it commends the applicant for its sensitive restoration. Approves the application regarding the east facade infill, the 2 rear yard additions on the rooftop addition, and enclosed mechanicals as reasonably appropriate to the building and the historic district, and takes no position regarding paint color of the decorative ironwork.
Okay, the vote is open. It's called the original preservation, original res. Remember, just yes for yes, no for no. Abstain, ineligible. Make sure everyone gets their votes in.
No.
Okay, Blanche.
Chair voting no. A no vote.
Yep, got it. Okay, we currently have 28 to 10, 3-0. We're gonna give it another 10 seconds. Does anyone have any questions? Any issues they're having with their voting? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. No one's having trouble voting? Okay, it passes 29, 10, 3-0.
Okay. And now we want to entertain another resolution that will concern the desire of the community board to have the applicant and the community members meet to further discuss, clarify, and urge a compromise resolution on the above issues.
And that also expresses concern the legitimacy of the concerns being raised by.
Yes. Okay, who wants to put that in like, open language? Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mary, yeah.
Talked about it being conditional, are we using that language? Can we get some clarification on the language?
No, this is a separate resolution. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody who's smarter than I am is gonna like put this into.
Before the 17th.
I don't see anyone in the room smarter than Case, I'll do it. You're smarter than Case. I gotta do that. I will guarantee I will not remember. The resolution is that community boards, that members of the communities surrounding the project have raised serious concerns concerning construction process and other issues relating to the proposed project. And Community Board 7 urges the parties to meet before the hearing at Landmark Preservation Commission to iron out and resolve those issues. In the event that they're unable to resolve those issues before the Landmarks Preservation Commission hearing, we urge the Landmarks Preservation Commission to adjourn the hearing for an appropriate hearing. Not just to get together.
Adjourn and reschedule. Postpone is the better word, which is what I meant to say, not withdraw.
Okay, if there's serious objection to the latter part, I'll go on.
Okay. Yeah, okay, calling the question.
Wait, wait.
Read his mind.
That's the last part.
I'll change it slightly, that in order to afford the parties time to resolve the issues, Community Board 7 urges the Landmarks Preservation Commission to adjourn.
Postpone.
To postpone the hearing on this matter.
Or how about postpone a vote?
They'll do what they're gonna do, but we can. All right, so we understand.
Check with that additional language. What issues? What issues? Are they issues that refer to appropriateness? What start?
If they do.
It's
having a meeting.
Structure noise.
It's having a meeting.
It's as community board, urging some of the two parties in this dispute to resolve their what differences can be resolved.
Okay. All right, the vote is up.
Okay, the vote is up.
We have a discussion.
Okay, well.
Can our secretary throw something?
Okay.
But the voting is in process right now, so what do you think, Beverly?
We had a couple of people we didn't allow to speak.
Howard.
So why don't we do Avi and Howard, and then everybody who hasn't already voted should vote.
I just want to say, I think it makes great sense for the parties to sit down and try to resolve issues. But there's literally no project that goes ahead in New York City with every conceivable issue resolved to the complete satisfaction of both parties. That's never happened. It's not going to happen in this case. I think it's unreasonable to expect that.
Just the language, I was to postpone the hearing and separately urge the two parties to meet to discuss and try to resolve the issues as two separate things, not conditional one on the other.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Is not what I said.
Okay.
We're gonna. All right. Alex, we're gonna take down the previous vote and.
Yeah, let's
All right, so we're gonna back up.
Start fresh.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the text that we've got, and please, Richard, let me know how I should change it. We're gonna make this really quick. So you have,
Please.
I'm afraid.
serious concerns. Okay.
And the et cetera is fine.
Okay.
Urges both parties.
Before the LPC meeting.
Before the 17th of September.
17th of September. 17th of September.
It's hard.
LPC meeting.
Yeah.
Busy hearing.
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 Okay.
Discuss and it's time to read it all.
Okay. If they are unable before the meeting, we urge LPC to postpone.
Change the law and change them.
If they are, the last sentence doesn't make sense.
Able to,
That's fine.
if they are unable to agree.
No, we don't.
Let's do it.
Let's just vote it.
So K is the what
am I?
Reservation lead. Here we go. If they are able to
Before the hearing.
They need additional time.
If additional time is needed is 9.
Okay, if
Oh, then,
Additional time.
we urge LPC to consider
A later.
postponing the hearing until a later date. They'll do whatever they want to do. Until all freezes over.
okay.
And that's later.
Okay,
You got it, you got it. Oh, yes, by all means. We'll take that by committee. All right, that seems clear-ish.
Okay, we're starting all over again because that was previously not. Now it's open. All the questions. We're voting again.
Pretend you haven't voted about this.
Right.
Yeah.
I said I was right.
We say additional time is needed.
Yeah, but the time is needed to meet. Yeah, we're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for
Okay, the vote is open.
conversation.
Postponing the hearing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, vote is open, ladies and gentlemen. 24-5-2-0 is current vote. You guys got a few seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it passes 31-7-3-0. Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Can I have a motion? Yes.
Adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Trying to establish. Without these. Just ask my.
Fine touch. So subtle. Very subtle.